If you were doing anything for the crowd, you are massively vulnerable. Biggest thing that I tell a lot of people, for me, I like grabbing kids when things are going great. To me, it's the conversation of, if you're getting high on this now, you're setting yourself up to be low. So when they're telling you you're the greatest, you need to counter it with, you're a piece of shit. And when people are telling you you're a piece of shit, you need to tell them you're the greatest.
But honestly, I'm sure you feel the same way too when you get on stage and you're doing speeches. You gotta prove it every time.
You know, that's a great point. I think one thing that we should talk about is you're only as good as your last at bat. So I've put on 25 years of business success, but when you do it in the public eye, and a lot of people watching now will do their lives in the public eye because the 13-year-old versions of us think that people are gonna know us because of now the way social media and creators work, right? Every kid who's 13, all of them have considered if they wanna be an influencer. Think about that. There's not a 13-year-old in the world who hasn't had a real conversation with themselves. I've put on obnoxious amounts of wins on the board in my field. Yet, thank you. That's not a humble brag, that's a setup for the amount of energy every time I announce a new project that people are deploying incredible energy against of like, if this fails, you suck. I'm like, really? Because I feel like I'm in the Hall of Fame. Like I had drinks with Emmett Smith yesterday. I was like, I'm not so sold. I literally thought this in that meeting, thus this is a perfect time for this. I'm like, I'm not sold that people like think about Emmett Smith as a cardinal. He was a cowboy and that was his work, not that last year or last 2 years in Arizona, but that's the reality of it. And I think really understanding that people have recency bias.
You have to.
The last thing you saw is what you remember. And if you're gonna deal as a QB, as a CEO, as an influencer, as a creator, you have to have the stomach to know that the thing you just did, if it doesn't work for a lot of the world, wipes out what you've done, which leads me to the punchline. If you were doing anything for the crowd, you are massively vulnerable. Biggest thing that I tell a lot of people, for me, I like grabbing kids when things are going great. To me, it's the conversation of, if you're getting high on this now, you're setting yourself up to be low. So when they're telling you you're the greatest, you need to counter it with, you're a piece of shit. And when people are telling you you're a piece of shit, you need to tell them you're the greatest. Like to me, genuinely, at this point, things are rolling nicely, all these accolades, you're the GOAT, blah, blah, blah. My brain goes into, you suck. In a sweet way, like I'm not hurting myself, I'm like, just remember, yeah, okay, that's very nice what just happened, but like, you're just a human being, go to work. And when people are like, you fucking suck, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking show you. You know, like it's just very extreme reactions to very extreme energy. And I really genuinely believe that that's how you can find a calm, happy place.